Hi, this is Carrie Weikel Delaplane, and I'm presenting on grounded theory. So the founders of grounded theory are Anselm Strauss and Barney Glasser. They founded grounded theory in 1967. In fact, they started to develop it as they were working on a study, and they realized that they had found something pretty cool. So in 1967, they wrote the book, The Discovery of Grounded Theory, Strategies for Qualitative Research. There's actually a Grounded Theory Institute, and I've selected this screen share because I wanted to show you what they had to say about grounded theory. This is actually Barney Glasser's institute, and the reason they called it grounded theory is because grounded theory, all research is grounded in data, and grounded theory is a method that actually creates a theory out of the data that they have used and found. That's one of the reasons I selected this theory, because ever since we learned about it, I thought it was so exciting that there's actually a theory out there that's specifically designed to create new theories, a whole new way of creating knowledge in a field. Simply speaking, according to Creswell, grounded theory is a qualitative strategy of inquiry in which the researcher derives a general abstract theory of process, action, or interaction grounded in the views of participants in a study. Emergence. That is a word that's very powerful in grounded theory, and I wanted to share it with you because emergence is what grounded theory, in my opinion, is really all about. It is about the researcher stepping into a study without any preconceived notions, and as a part of the study, and as the study emerges, creating knowledge and theory from that study. The strengths of grounded theory are that it's building new theories. It's a systematic procedure for data collection. The results have helped generate future investigation. And it requires an open mind, which I think is the strength, and it's thorough and structured. It's actually really not considered a qualitative method. It's a general method, and often it's said people often say that it's kind of a mix of qualitative and quantitative because it is so structured. Weaknesses of grounded theory are that there's so much data. You have to get so much data together and do different levels of analysis on it that it's extremely labor intensive, and it's extremely lengthy. It's time consuming, and it may actually be hard to know when you're done, especially for an inexperienced researcher. One of the things about grounded theory is that it's not often recommended for newer researchers. In fact, some things that I read stated that it's really not recommended for doctoral students because they're newer as researchers, and that it takes pretty high levels of experience to step into a study, to do the different levels of coding that are required of data, and to develop theory. And like I said before, to actually know when you're done with the research and that you've arrived at something. So maybe you would say that it's not super accessible to new researchers. Any data method can be used. So with grounded theory, you can do interviews, you can do focus groups, you can look at documents, you can really look at your research as people, cases. So it's somewhat flexible in that manner. Data analysis, here are some key terms that I want to share with you. Coding, concepts, and categories, and they build on one another. So you start by coding different themes that emerge. There's that word emergence again. And then those build into different concepts that are a little more overarching. And from there you have categories that then actually build out the theory. I utilized this diagram because I think that it is an excellent representation of the process of grounded theory. You'll see you create your research problem, and then from there you have memos which raise codes to tentative categories. So you're coding your data. You get a little more focused as you go, and you have your codes and your categories. And then, as you can see at the top, which I think is interesting, that's when you write your first draft. And one piece that I want to note is that you actually often do a literature review at the end of the process. So as I stated earlier, you're going into it with a really open mind and doing things such as your literature review at the end so that you're really tying all the work together in that way. When to use grounded theory? Well, Creswell and others say to use grounded theory when there's little research or information on a subject area, when you truly are committed to that topic and you want to develop the knowledge, you want to develop a theory. An example research question. The aim of this study is to develop substantive theory about how parents deal with the education of their child diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. I won't read the rest for you, but you can see that it's about creating theory. That's how people write research questions when it comes to grounded theory. Here are two articles that I found that I thought were great examples of grounded theory. One is called A Grounded Theory of High Quality Leadership Programs. These are both about higher ed, perspectives from student leadership development programs in higher education. And the other is Conflict Resolution and Transformative Pedagogy, a grounded theory research project on learning in higher education. And here are my references. Thank you so much for tuning in.